Hello, welcome to another exciting episode of Cracking the Rich Code, the podcast. I am your host, John Verico, and wait till you see my guest today. This woman is a bundle of energy. She has a background in dance. She's an artistic director. She has written multiple books on multiple topics, and I can't wait to get into the discussion on that. She is a coach. She is a resilience coach. She's a speaker and founder of Take Courage, the momentum um, framework for Take Courage. I can't wait to hear more about that. And she's written her chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 20, which, as of this recording, is the latest issue out. Rose Marcum. And let's say hi. Good morning. How are you,
Hello.
Ashley?
Good morning. Good.
Good. First of all, congratulations on the new book coming out, Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 20. But I know you're not new to getting published, and that we're going to learn a little bit more about that as well. But let's just kind of start off a little bit about kind of who you are. You have a pretty broad spectrum background of mostly with kind of helping people in a variety of different ways. So can we talk a little bit about kind of how you evolved into this realm?
Yeah. So I am a very ambitious person. So I've had people tell me I'm shooting too high a lot. I grew up in a large family, and I was kind of one of the older ones. I was the oldest female. And I think starting then, I just learned to pick up responsibility and just go with it all in, give it all I had. And I liked to tackle hurdles. And so, yeah, I became a leader kind of in that sense of just wanting to stay on top of things and, finish my tasks. I was also homeschooled, so I was very much teaching myself just kind of every step of the way, and just very hungry to learn. And, that kind of, as I entered into teenage years and such, I started to develop what my true talents were. And I first became a pianist, and I was kind of accepted into the conservatory at a young age, about 11. But at the same time, I was also introduced into the world of ballet, and I found my deep passion there. I loved dance so much, which was interesting because I called myself a leader. Like, I could see it developing, but I was also an extreme kind of introvert as a kid. And dance was this way, music was too, but dance was a new level to just dig deep, kind of process those emotions that I was confused about, those emotions that were hard to process as a kid, and just move through it. And so dance became very much of a healing factor for me as I grew into my adulthood. And life started off pretty quickly.
It's amazing how dance. It's amazing how dance does that for people. It's really help. But dance in particular has always been kind of a great, I don't want to say therapy, but in some aspects it is. It really helps people to learn how to shine, to build confidence, all of that stuff.
Very much so. So I trained as a classical ballerina under Cincinnati Ballet, and I kind of jumped right into, so a pivotal part of my life was I did get married young at 18. So things happened, and that's another story in another book to be published. But I started having kids because I loved kids too. I loved working with kids. And so in 9 years, I had 6 kids. One is adopted from Africa, from Ethiopia. And so I have this passion to just work with children. I also started my studio at age 20. And so I've owned a dance studio for 20 years, and I've worked with thousands of students of all ages. And it's just, I wouldn't have called myself a teacher as a child. I would have said, no, that's not on my wish list of wanting to become a teacher. But kind of having this opportunity, I felt like God just plopped it in my lap. And I rose to the occasion, and I was actually kind of shocked how much I loved it. It was very fulfilling to like step into people's stories, step into people's days, and step into what they were feeling and help them kind of figure out how to make the best of it, and like you said, dance is therapy. And it was a wonderful way for me to kind of, in that sense, mentor people through kind of their down moments and just express
Yeah.
it without words. Sometimes that's what's needed, is we need that outlet to express our emotions through music or art or dance without, trying to compile all these words that just don't seem to fit. So that has been a huge thing. I've greatly enjoyed, putting on shows, choreographing, and working with all of my students, and it's still a deep passion of mine. But then I wanted to extend my ability to help people. Not everybody wants to dance. I don't know why, but there's some non-dancers out there. So I thought, well, what other ways can I help people? Um, so I did
I've always been
become a
fond of the
Pilates
saying, "Dance
instructor
like
too.
nobody's watching."
Um, but I became the Pilates instructor, and then I dove into becoming an author, because I was like, there's other levels that I wanted to reach into, even my students, and be able to kind of speak encouragement and truths and hopes, and just give them kind of more layers of confidence that you can pour into that at
Right.
dance class. But I felt like I wanted to give even more than that. So I wrote a dance series for all ages. There's 3 different books. It's 3 different age categories. And then I have a very dyslexic son,
So I'm sorry,
and
what are those books about?
the dance series.
Mhm.
Okay, Finding the Dancer Within is the dance series. And it just kind
I
of
love it.
is a support book for each of those age categories. It tells them what to expect and just kind of how to navigate the thoughts and the feelings, and how to enter into a dance class and get the best out of it.
I love that. And
But
those are for which age
the
groups?
other, those age groups, 3 to 5, kind of 5 to 8, preteen age, and then teen and adults.
Love it. See, I'm making you talk about that because I want people to go and find this stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry. They're on Amazon, and I have a books.by page as well.
And that webpage, by the way, for folks is ashieroseauthor.com. And so you can check out her books there and learn more about Ashley there. Like I said, a bundle of energy. So let's get into a little bit more about. So what came next? You said you had a bunch of books, and so
So
let's talk about those too.
yeah, I have a very dyslexic son, so I walked that journey with him, and my heart was kind of breaking for the neurodiverse spectrum, and just how they lose their voice, they kind of get overseen, and then there's so much a part of our society that kind of overlooks how to actually step and support them. We've been doing better over the years, but it's been a process. And so I wrote a book called Encouragement for the Dyslexic, to kind of, again, walk aside just people in the neurodiverse spectrum and just make them feel seen and heard. A special part of that book is my son actually helped me write one chapter. And
Oh, I
he
love
was
it.
the one that inspired me to write the book. And if I can tell this story real quick, we were on our way to a therapy appointment, and it was raining, and he was watching the drops fall down the window. And he's like, Mom, he's like, wouldn't it just be so amazing if you could jump from one raindrop to another raindrop, and each raindrop was a different world that you could discover and explore? I was like, Zeb is his name. I was like, that's brilliant. And
Ooh.
I was like, we need to develop this story. So we did, and that is in the first part of the chapter, or the first chapter in that book. But yes, I get excited about neurodiversity as well, and helping people, whether it's through dance or just giving them a space to feel seen and heard, is very important.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And so now, like, I want to go back. You said you had a large family that you were from, and you have 6 children of your own. So families, but how many were in your family as a kid?
I'm one of 14.
Oh, that's a huge family. Were there any multiple births in there, like any twins in there or anything?
No, nope, all singles. My two youngest sisters are adopted, but the rest were all biological siblings.
That's just amazing. I can't even imagine a household that big. But I do know, I mean, I actually know people who've come from large families as well. But that's just huge. But I understand now. It helps me. It helps, I think, people understand who you are, right? You're trying to kind of show yourself and be seen amongst the girls. So I can see really, it really is a eye opening for you are and how you became to be the kind of person you are. It's really
Mhm.
amazing. And you said you have 5 biological and 1 adopted, right?
But
That is huge too, and that is a commitment of love. It really is, and that says a lot about you and who you are. So now I understand more too about your desire to help others and help learn to shine. So this is fantastic.
Mhm.
So let's talk some more. I'm gonna jump fast forward a little. Here it is, or 2025 ish, roughly, and you hear from this guy named Jim Britt or somebody who said, "Hey, we're doing a book called Cracking the Rich Code." Tell me a little bit about how that conversation went and how you wound up coming into the book.
um, so almost a year ago, I had a couple books that were awarded, and I went to this huge gala and award ceremony, and it was great. But I made a lot of connections.
Well, now
I
you're gonna have to
think
talk about those books too.
um, I think that from those connections and from that opportunity, it kind of exploded into this larger network for me. And yeah, Jim Britt and Jim Lutz just kind of popped up. I don't exactly know how I got on their radar and vice versa, but it happened and I'm really thankful it did. And yeah, I had a meeting with Jim Britz and it was, I don't know, I feel like I connected with him a lot. I think some of his experience and him also finding determination in the lows and to not give up. Like I can totally relate with that. We both got married young, and he didn't have he didn't have a college degree. I don't have a college degree either because when you're dancing hardcore like full time job, you don't really have time to pursue a college degree. But that doesn't need to stop you from being successful. And I think that's another message that some people need to hear that, it's okay if you didn't finish that college degree, you still have a bright future. And it doesn't say anything about how smart you are either. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
yeah.
And it's so true. So many people put a lot of emphasis on that piece of paper, and it really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. There are lots of people who can be extremely successful in any aspect of life and don't have or don't need a college degree. And I see that on so many questions, like you have to have this higher level degree or whatever in order to be
Right.
able to do this job. And I've looked at some of these and like, dude, I've done that 40 years. I don't need it. I don't need your degree for that.
Mhm.
So go ahead and
Right.
continue.
Well,
Sorry.
and I think it enabled me. I think, not pursuing college. I was raising kids, I was owning my own studio, my own business. And so there was a lot like from my childhood where I just jumped in and learned things. It continued throughout my life. And I've done a lot of crazy things, and most of them have been successful, but I'm not afraid to try things. Like I love to dive in, I love to experience and see if it's a good fit.
I love
Um,
it.
you know, yeah, so I could go on and on, but we can stay on topic.
We could stay on topic or we can just drift all over the place. But that's fine because the whole purpose of this get people to know you, right? And if your mind is always going here and there and all that other stuff, that's fine. But I really like the fact that you said that you weren't afraid to try things. And I think that really
Mhm.
very insightful, and it's also very helpful for people to realize that, even if there's a potential for failure, you should try things anyway, because you never know what's going to work out. Um, and
Right.
so, I think the more, and I'm not talking about crazy chances. I mean, I'm not one of those jump out of the airplane, but I really think, trying things and not being afraid to fail, and not take yourself so seriously, that you're willing to experience what life has to offer, and all the different ways that you can act for other people. And I think
Oh,
you're
for sure.
really right in that zone.
Right. So to kind of finish your
So for
question
those of you
about
who are
Jim Britt,
tuning in,
um,
oh, go ahead. Yes,
you want me to finish
go
this
ahead.
part? Okay.
Yeah,
So
go ahead and
Jim Britt,
finish the Jim Britt story.
okay. One reason that I was very intrigued by the next step after becoming an author is I thought I'd love to be on stage. Mostly that's been through being a musician and a dancer. When I've, put on performances, I've, been able to speak to the audience, and I love helping the audience feel like they're part of the production or whatever's going on stage. I love to draw them in and make it just a very energy filled, unified experience for everybody. And so I've been doing that for 20 years. And I thought, well, a good next step would be to become a public speaker. um, and so connecting with Jim Britt and all these other people, the award ceremony, Jim Lutz, and just some of these people that have already walked this path was just a perfect another God plopping it in my lap type experience where I'm like, okay, I think I need to try this. So yeah, becoming a public speaker was the next step after becoming an author, and they kind of just they fit well together. And
I love it. What do you speak about?
so my main talk is called Take Courage, and my grandma, who's also an award-winning author, um, she's the one that kind of helped me found that title. And again, I love to encourage people. So, and it's also, courage doesn't just happen. Like you have to grab it, you have to be proactive about it. So I developed this focus momentum framework, and the focus part, it was find your goal, organize your path, cultivate your time and habits, unclutter your mind and your soul, and then step forward boldly into those dreams, and just live bravely. So that's kind of my framework. I have a lot that I add into each category. I also am able to kind of adjust the framework per audience. Um, I've worked with all ages. So I mean, whether it's a 2.5-year-old that barely talks and walks, or whether it's a 70-year-old, or 80, 90, whatever, I just I have this heart of seeing people where they're at. So my focus framework, I have several different variations of it, and some are for leaders. I have some for youth. I've presented to youth, women. I have a couple women's conferences coming up, and grief. So one of the books I didn't mention was my book of poetry called Ash Covered Roses, and that has been a compilation of 20 years of very raw feelings of me just kind of crying out to God, and to just trying to find sense of some of these inner things that I couldn't
Right.
process very well. And so dance, music, poetry, like those were kind of a start of it. So stepping into the world also of grief, because people, they need their hands held. They need to be kind of gently supported during that time. And there's different ways to do that, but it's also another audience that I'm sensitive and want to speak into.
You have a huge heart, Ashley, and it really shows in what you're saying, and how you like to and help people. So talk a little bit about what you decided to run. I mean, it's part of your talk, but kind of talk a little bit about how you chose this topic to write in the Cracking the Rich Code book series. What's interesting is I think when you hear the title Cracking the Rich Code, a lot of people think it's a financial book. And
Right.
I know that's what I first thought when Jim first reached out to me. I'm like, look, I'm not one of you Wall Street types, that's not what it's about. And I said, I'm about necessarily mean that there's money involved. And he says, yeah,
Mhm.
that's exactly it. It's about
Yeah.
richness of life. So I think,
Right.
so now you're talking about taking courage, and that is exactly, a perfect story
Mhm.
for being having a rich life. So let's talk a little bit about your chapter and what you want people to take away from that.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm kind of labeling what my talk is about. My passion is take courage. And I open up in the chapter kind of about my story. Not too deep, because, like I said, that's another book eventually, maybe to happen, but taking people through the thought and the feelings of just what happened and kind of drew me through, the music and the arts and the dancing, but the compilation of having become kind of a survivor through some hard periods and finding that determination and kind of that unstoppable drive to just keep going,
Right.
and letting people know, like, you can do this too, and you're not alone, and there's myself and other people out there that can help you and kind of lift you up and help you see new angles that will walk through this with you. So that's why my focus framework is kind of like a support guide, and it's the deeper levels of it, and like my journal and my talk, it kind of asks people these questions that can help them through those kind of walls that they hit. And it's something that you can do many times. Like, let's say you hit a wall. Okay, go through the focus framework and, find some momentum, get rolling. You don't have to envision your whole future as this big, daunting task. It's like, just take the next step, the step today that you are able
I
to
like
take,
that.
whatever that is. Let's figure that one out and let's move
Beautiful.
forward in that step. And it's all those little micro and mini steps and those positivities that you tell yourself and that you start working out and putting into action that builds momentum to keep you moving forward towards your dreams and your future. Um, and one of the biggest things is, so I'm a very down to earth person. I will call out some things. And two things that I'll mention is people's habits right now and time are cluttered with distractions. And so, this whole
Oh
internet
yeah.
connection and AI and social media, like, it's great. But if you don't have the ability to see it for what it is, it will eat you alive. So I kind of have a crazy
Oh
story. I don't
yes.
know. I don't know if I should share it, or if you could read the chapter in the book, you'll get a taste of it. Give people very real.
Oh, go ahead and share it. Let's go.
Okay, so I also own a little farm. I have raised meat chickens and cows and horses, chickens, goats, milking goats, bunnies for therapy that we've bred and given away to therapy programs. And so, yeah, I do it all. But a couple years ago, I had a
Amazing.
baby bull. A baby bull was born on the property. Okay. And I'm very much an all in type person. And the problem is that bulls are bullies, like, literally, and they will destroy your property.
That's where
Like, they
that's where
don't care
the
about,
term bully came from, actually. Yeah.
right, they don't care about fences. They don't care about what you're growing. They don't care about the other animals. They're just gonna plow through everything. And so, to be quite blunt, you have to capture them. You have to contain them. And you have to ban their balls. It's the only way to kind of diminish their effect in your life and cause peace on
Wow.
the farm again. So I did that. I little, me, ballerina me, I chased this bull around the field. I did have some help, so there was a couple other people helping. And I wrestled this bull to the ground. And it was not a big full grown bull, but it was a teenage bull. And we wrestled him to the ground. We banded his balls because that helps, tame their levels of aggression. And yes, it was just a process. And then, the peace kind of comes back. And the farm resumes kind of this normalcy of something you can handle. And I think what I'm trying to say here is that our lives, our distractions are not cute little puppies and kittens wandering around our field. They're that bull, that disastrous bull that is going to plow down everything you're trying to grow. And what people don't realize is I'm also a stats girl. I love stats and I love looking up things. And the direction we're heading right now, people are going to lose 15 to 20 years of their life just on devices. And
Yep.
to me, that's sad. I'm like, okay, well, if we're willing to capture the bull, our distractions, and rein them in and realize what it really is, those things can be beneficial. But if we don't learn how to tame them, reel them down, and make them work for us and not just distract us, then we're going to lose a lot of our lives. And think of all those dreams, all those hopes, all those connections with friends and family, and hobbies that we could pursue, things, if we just claim back some of those moments. Because people are like, oh, just a few minutes here and a few minutes there, it's no big deal. But it all compiles into eating your
It's a
life.
rabbit hole.
And is that
It is.
exactly?
It is a rabbit hole that eats your life. As a matter of fact,
Mhm.
I just did a talk the other evening to a group and talked about the fact that Americans are subjected to almost 9 zettabytes of data
Mhm.
a year. A zettabyte is a million megabytes, a
Yeah.
million megabytes. I mean, just you can't even imagine that much data. But between social media,
Mhm.
uh, ads, and all the media coming at us, yeah, there's over almost 9 zettabytes of data that people are subjected to every year, which is just
Right.
insane.
Right. Right. Yes, and we need to call out the elephant in the room. I mean, some people are aware of it, but too many people are not really aware of how much it's going to take from them. It's going to steal from their lives if they're not willing to kind of cultivate those time and habits is, part of my talk. It's a very strong part of my talk.
Absolutely. This has been great. I can't believe we're out of time already. This is just crazy. So, folks, let me say, if you kind of tuned in late on this, go back to the beginning and watch this thing over. Actually, even if you saw the whole thing, watch it from the beginning again. Anyway, there are so many little great nuggets in here that you're going to learn from Ashley, and a great insight into her and her chapter in Cracking the Rich Code Volume 20, which is on taking courage. And also go to Ashley's web, which is ashyrose.com. I'm sorry, ashyrose.author.com. Check her out on the website. And if you want to reach out and get in touch with Ashley, is on LinkedIn. Her LinkedIn is Ashley Marcum Ashy Rose. On link, all that information will be in the show notes as well. But definitely check her out. Most importantly, pick up that volume 20 of Cracking the Rich Code and read her chapter. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Ashley Rose Marcum today. I know I have, and unfortunately, we've got to say farewell for now. Ashley, I hope we can have another chat in the future, because I'd love to learn more about you, and I think our listeners will as well.
Thank you very much.
For the time to join us today.
Surely.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well. And don't forget, folks, it's Ashy Rose Author. There, it's Ashy Rose Author.com. Check it out. All right, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Cracking the Rich Code, the podcast. Take care.